Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome to my channel. I am Jamie Beth. Today we're going to do another story time and makeup. So today's story time is about the Salem witch trials. Now I have been to Massachusetts, I have been to Salem, and I've gotten to do some ghost tours and walk around. It is a beautiful area. I love Massachusetts. I love the area of Salem. If you are unaware of what the Salem witch trials are, they were a series of hearings and persecutions of people that were accused of witchcraft. It began in Massachusetts, where there were two different types of Salems. There was Salem Village and Salem Town. Arguments about property lines, grazing rights, church privileges caused a rift between these villages and between neighbors. The surrounding areas stated that these were very quarrelsome towns. In 1672, the villagers had voted to hire a minister of their own apart from Salem Town. The first two ministers were James Bailey and George Burroughs. They only stayed a few years each. Burroughs, however, was subsequently arrested at the height of the witchcraft trials and was hanged as a witch in August of 1692. The majority of the people accused and convicted of witchcraft were women. About 78% were women. The belief was that because we are such vulnerable, helpless, weak people, we were more susceptible to sin and being coerced by the devil. Even though men and women were treated as equals, they believed that women were susceptible to have the devil overtake them and take their souls. Quarrels between neighbors often incited allegations of witchcraft as well. So if you got into a fight with your neighbor, all you had to do was say, hey, they're a witch. They'd be tried, hung, and then you could take their land or their animals or whatever crops or whatnot that they had, which I find really interesting. Also, women who did not conform to the norms of Puritan society were often accused of being witches. Those that were like unmarried or did not have any children or were sometimes more quarrelsome were accused of witchcraft. An example of someone that was accused because of this was a woman named Goody Glover, who was characterized as a disagreeable old woman and described by her own husband as a witch. So apparently she did not have a very healthy marriage because her own husband wanted to get rid of her and accused her of being a witch. She was also accused of casting spells on the Goodwin children, whom she is a family that she helped out. She was accused of this after these children stole linens from her and she got angry at them. So they accused her for being a witch because all of a sudden these children were having these strange bouts of like hysteria and throwing fits and tantrums and acting like fools. And that was, you know, a sure tell sign that you put a spell on them. In Salem Village, in February of 1692, Betty Paris, age 9, and her cousin Abigail Williams, age 11, daughter and niece of the Reverend Samuel Paris, began to have these crazy little fits. They were described as on the power of an epileptic fit. These crazy little girls would throw things around the room, utter strange sounds, crawl under furniture, distort themselves in weird positions. Girls also complained of being pinched and pricked with needles. They were checked out by local doctors. Nothing could be found as to what was causing these little girls to act strangely. Nowadays, they'd just be called spoiled brats and their parents would be judged for being awful parents. I mean, that is it. Back then, if you acted this way, there was some witchcraft behind it. First, 3 people accused and arrested for allegedly afflicting Betty Paris, Abigail Williams, Ann Putman Jr., and Elizabeth Hubbard were Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and Tituba. Tituba was the very first person that was accused of hurting these little girls and causing these girls to have these little tantrums. Some historians do believe that when it came to the accusation by Ann Putnam Jr., it was mostly due to a family feud that might have been going on at that time, which sparked all of these, you know, witch trials and whatnot. So there were definitely some underlying things going on in the background, which is why a lot of these women were accused of witchcraft. Sarah Good was a destitute woman accused of witchcraft because of her reputation. At her trial, she was accused of rejecting Puritan ideals of self-control and discipline when she chose to torment and scorn children instead of leading them towards the path of salvation. So she pretty much probably told these kids stop acting like damn fools and got reprimanded for it and accused of witchcraft for it. Sarah Osborne was rarely seen at church. She was accused of witchcraft because the Puritans believed that she had her own self-interest in mind following her remarriage to an indentured servant. The town disapproved of her trying to take control of her son's inheritance from her previous marriage. So it sounds like everyone was just butting into her life, and because she didn't agree with them butting into her life, they accused her of being a witch. Tituba, or Tituba, I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. I think it's Tituba. She was an enslaved South American Indian woman from the West Indies, and she became a target because of her ethnic differences from most of the other villages. She was accused of attracting girls like Abigail Williams and Betty Paris with stories of enchantments. Neat little stories that she told the girls, and the girls became infatuated with it. These tales were said to stimulate the imagination of the girls and made Tituba an easy target for being accused of being a witch. Each of the women that were accused were outcasts and exhibited many of the character traits of typical usual suspects for witchcraft accusations. They were led to defend themselves and brought before local magistrates on the complaint of witchcraft. They were interrogated for several days and then sent off to jail. In March, there came more accusations. Martha Corey, a child named Dorothy Good, and Rebecca Nurse in Salem Village, and Rachel Clinton in nearby Ipswich. Martha Corey had expressed skepticism about the credibility of the girls accusing these women of witchcraft, thus drew attention to herself, for herself to then be accused of witchcraft, because heaven forbid you call out these dumb girls for acting dumb. The charges against Martha Corey and Rebecca Nurse were deeply troublesome to the community. They did not understand how these very coveted women in the church community could possibly be witches. Because of this, the townspeople thought, you know, if upstanding citizens of our community and very, very religious women could be turn out to be witches, who was actually protected against these accusations. Because, you know, now, my gosh, any of us could be accused of being a witch. Of course, because anyone who's mad at you can accuse you of being a witch because they want your stuff, they want your land, they want your home, they want your crops, they want your cattle. Well, I mean, I would be a little bit afraid too at that time. Dorothy Good, the daughter of Sarah Good, was only 4 years old, but was not exempted from questioning on whether or not she or her mother were witches, and her answers actually implicated that her mother was in fact a witch. The next to be accused were Sarah Cloyce, who was Rebecca Nurse's sister, and Elizabeth Proctor, who I think was just accused because Abigail Williams and Elizabeth's husband had a little thing going on. So, I mean, again, we're just because someone doesn't like you or mad at you or wants something that you have, you're being accused of being a witch. That's how silly these witchcraft trials truly really were. During these women's proceedings, John Proctor, who was Elizabeth's husband, was also arrested because he objected to his wife being a witch, being accused of being a witch, and therefore you must be a witch too if you don't think that your wife is. You gotta, you can't be on her side. You gotta be on the side of everyone else. So because you don't agree with what's being done, you get accused of being a witch as well. Within a week, Giles Corey, Martha's husband and another coveted member of the church, Abigail Hobbs, Bridget Bishop, Mary Warren, a servant in the Proctor household, and sometime accuser, so a woman that was part of the afflicted is now being accused of witchcraft, and Deliverance Hobbs, the stepmother of Abigail Hobbs, were arrested and examined. Abigail Hobbs, Mary Warren, and Deliverance Hobbs all confessed and began naming additional people. So it kind of seemed like if you started accusing someone and putting the blame on someone else other than yourself, you kind of got it a little bit easier than other people. So the first case brought to grand jury was Bridget Bishop, and she was accused of witchcraft because she didn't live what people thought was a Puritan lifestyle. When she was examined at the trial, because of her clothing and what everyone called her immoral lifestyle, this gave away that she was in fact a witch. She was executed by hanging on June 10th, 1692. In September of 1692, Giles Corey refused to plead at his arraignment and was killed, being pressed to death. So he was laid down and heavy loads of stones were pressed on him until he was no longer able to breathe. 4 more pleaded guilty, and then 11 others were tried and found guilty. Later on, the governor's wife was accused of witchcraft, and of course, that can't possibly be true. So after his wife was accused, they put out an order that no more executions would happen. And pretty much he did that to save his own wife. So no more executions happened after that time. Also, the governor started issuing pardons for women that were currently in jail waiting to be tried and executed. So he did issue pardons for a lot of these women, but these women weren't necessarily released from jail because while in jail they accrued jail fees. So these innocent women who were accused of being something they weren't now had to pay jail fees. They were wrongly convicted of being witches, and a lot of them did die in jail because they weren't able to pay these fees. Some of these women, Rebecca Nurse and Martha Corey, were excommunicated from their churches, so they weren't able to be given proper burials. They were actually buried in very shallow graves. I mean, this is just such a sad, sad time. Families of these victims were able to claim their family members' remains and take them to different locations to be buried properly. In 2001, Massachusetts legislature passed an act exonerating all of the accused, naming each of them innocent. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, give it a thumbs up and remember to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, as well as the notification bell next to it to be notified of all of my upcoming videos. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.